What's up, guys? So in case you weren't aware, this channel is all about recruiting and my recruiting business and how to start a recruiting business and everything about recruiting pretty much. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit about fee structure, how you get paid, how you charge clients, how you make money. What's the whole purpose of what we're doing anyways if you're not getting paid, right? So let's talk about fee structure and why it's okay to undercut. And we'll talk a little bit about recruiting in general and competition and why you should start your own recruiting firm, and how simplistic that is. So I just wanted to throw a couple nuggets out there. It's going to be a random video, but nonetheless. So recruiting in general is an institutionalized business, meaning there are large companies out there that provide recruiting services. They're huge. So they've got like 30,000 employees over the entire United States, with, 1,000 branches or whatever. And people call them up whenever they need recruiting services and stuff like that. These would be Tech Systems, Robert Half, Aerotech, just to name some of the biggest that I know. I have a couple of friends who work for these companies too right now, and they make shit money, by the way. And these companies are, let's just call them the devil. They basically charge a 35% on average fee for a direct hire placement, or even more for a contract placement, like 50%. So what does that mean? So if you're gonna hire somebody at a company and that person is going to get paid $100,000, Aerotech or one of the big companies or a big staffing firm is going to charge them like a 35% fee on that, meaning they're going to charge $35,000 to the business just to hire that person. That's an insane amount of money. It's huge. Obviously that's an average person's almost salary if you work at kind of a shitty job. Generally people are, people in their 30s, sometimes they're making anywhere from like $45,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, right? So if you took home $35,000 on a deal, that's cool and all, but the only reason they have that rate is because they're huge and they have name recognition and all that stuff. But bottom line, if you're just a recruiting business that on your own, like an individual recruiter, you start your own company, you have your own brand name, and you're working under yourself, you undercut. Like, why wouldn't you? Because let's look at it like this. If I find an employee that's going to get hired, and we're working more with like people that are getting paid $50,000 or like $60,000 or $45,000 or whatever, right? But even then, I wouldn't touch the 35% rate because there's no reason they're going to mess with me. It's okay to undercut. If I go in, which this is what I did, and started at 10%, and the person's getting paid $50,000 a year, I'm getting a check for $5,000. I don't know about you, but if I picked off one of those a month, that's definitely making more than a shit ton of the people that I know, friends, family, whoever, $50,000 a year. Just picking off one of those a month at 10%. Imagine what you would do at 15%. You're sitting more like you're making $75,000, $80,000 a year. That's definitely close to beating anybody that I know. If your fee is at 15%, like anybody I know salary-wise at their job in corporate America. So the name of the game in starting your own recruiting firm is undercut, undercut, undercut. Come in, find your client, whoever they are, a contractor, a warehouser, like a sales organization, something small, medium, and come in with 10%, come in with 12% and say, I'll find your candidates, I'll take care of everything, and I'll do 10, 12%. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter because you are going to take home more money that year that you started your recruiting business than a lot of your friends, because of the simple fact that, do the math. If you make 2 placements a month and they were $3,500 fees, right? That's $7,000 a month. you end up with about $70,000 at the end of the year. Most of your friends are probably making 65 or below. You're coming out on top. That's at 10%. We're talking really low fees here. Like I mentioned at the beginning, Aerotech, Tech Systems, Robert Half, whoever it is, they're charging huge fees just because they can, just because of the name recognition. But as a solo recruiter, you have a bunch of advantages on your side because number one, you can come in and undercut and you have no overhead. So this is my overhead right here. This and the phone that I'm shooting this on. Those are my overhead, which is nothing. So I don't have to take care of any of that stuff, which means the fee is 100% into my pocket, and that's it. So I'm okay with taking a $3,500 fee on someone's head when I recruit them and hire them. And I'm okay with doing that 10 times in a month and making a $30,000 month out of it. It's 100% profit for me. So undercut. There's no reason to set your fee at 20%. So if you research average recruiting fees and things like that, you'll find people are charging 35%, 25%, 20%, 18%. You don't need to be at that level. You don't need to staff at that level. You can raise your rates accordingly. I mean, I don't flat charge 10% to everybody. There's a few grandfathered clients that will go at 10%, but I've raised my fees, right? Because I've proven my worth, and so I have name recognition, like where I live and where I do business and everything in Seattle. But overall, there's no reason to sit there and overcharge somebody for a service that you can do with no overhead as a recruiter. And at the end of the day, you're going to thank yourself because you're going to make more money than you would have if you went in and tried to pitch somebody a 25% recruitment fee, which is just absurd because they're going to laugh you out the door and say, well, I'll just call it Aerotech and I'll take care of this in a jiffy because I don't trust you and whatever, right? But ultimately, the trust factor that they're talking about comes down to the money. I mean, they're going to hire you, right? But they're only trusting Aerotech for that 25% just because they know they've done it 100,000 times. You may have placed 2-3 people, and so with you coming in saying, hey, I'll charge 10%, the trust is easy to erase. The trust factor is easy to erase because you're only at 10%. So it's like, oh, okay, no big. Like if he places for us, we pay him $3,500. We're not paying, we're not paying $8,000 for this placement. So it's no big deal. It's $3,500. But as a solo recruiter, $3,500, making 3 placements a month, that's $100,000 a year for you. It's a no-brainer. I mean, just simply do the math on it. So fee structure, go low. Go 10%, go 12%, don't worry about it. Play the volume game, try to get 3-4 placements a month at 10% on around, $30,000, $40,000 salaries. That's gonna make you $100,000 simply, just 3-4 placements. That's not even huge volume. Huge volume would be doing like 10 placements a month. That's like $300,000 a year. So your business will grow, your fee structure will grow, and you'll make more money along the way. But right now, why wouldn't you just place somebody at 10%, get your first client, get them at 10%, they're hiring somebody for $30,000 a year, take a $3,000 check from them, and be off to the races. Ultimately, it's going to come down to like getting the fire struck under you, right? So it's all about getting started, and I think the way to get started is just go in, undercut, put a 10% fee in your contract and say, when I hire someone for you, it's going to be 10% fee, net 14 collect, give them a guarantee of 30 days and say, I will replace the candidate in 30 days if they don't stick on, because that's always important. You always have to have that clause. But at the end of the day, you're going to take home at least $3,000-$4,000 on that rate. So undercut. That's the main message. Just a little golden nugget for today. Happy Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day, however you want to look at it. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Later.